And why not? Why not have regulations? Everything else is regulated.
Yes.
I mean, you know, the farm industry is regulated. I mean, why, as people who are, you know, care about animals and are humane and compassionate, why would we not want to see these animals treated well? I mean, there's just no reason not to. And it's hard. Why is there opposition to this? Who's opposing it?
Well, the breeders that would be regulated are opposing it, because if you run a business now that is totally unregulated, certainly you wouldn't want regulation. That's going to mean that you're going to have to buy a license, you're going to have to submit to an inspection. The inspector is going to be looking at your reporting, your record keeping, which most of these people don't bother with now. In other words, regulation will require work on their part. Mm-hmm. So of course they're opposing it.
Is there a tremendous opposition to this? I mean, is it just these commercial breeders that are opposing it, or are there very specific people other than the commercial breeders that are opposing this?
Well, there's been several dog organizations who have opposed it, which has shocked us. And basically what it came down to is we don't want to be inspected. So if it means that you might want to have us buy a license or be inspected or have regulation, we don't want it. Okay. And we'll turn a blind eye to the puppy mills if you leave us alone. Now, the downside of that is they'll have a good breeder will have no problem hitting the regulatory environment. They're already doing far and above what would be expected. But they object to having to buy a license and having an inspector come to their property.
But my assumption would be is if there are regulations in place, would this not be better for the hobby breeder, for the good hobby breeder, in the fact that, you know, a lot of these so-called puppy mills will be, you know, they won't be breeding poor qualities of their breeds and saturating the market with whatever, you know, purebred there might be out there, as far as, like, you know, for instance, let's talk about Dalmatians. Let's say someone's a reputable, competent Dalmatian breeder, and yet there's somebody down the street who's a commercial breeder who's like putting out these Dalmatian puppies like crazy. Well, wouldn't it benefit the hobby breeder to have that commercial breeder regulated?
I would hope so, although some hobby breeders have told me that they don't feel that they will ever be able to fill the demand.
Oh,
and so that having some commercial breeding going on is not, they don't oppose it, because there are some people that just want an average pet.
Okay.
But the whole bottom line is that all people who love animals should want quality standards for them.
Sure.
It doesn't really matter if you're a pet owner or a Humane Society director or a quality hobby breeder. What we should all endeavor to do is ensure that animals are free from abuse, neglect, and suffering.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So as general public, what can we do? What anybody watching this program, and let's say that they want to see puppy mills regulated and they want to do something, what do they do?
The number one thing that we all need to do is call, email, or write to our state legislators. And I'm reiterating, this is our state legislators. This is not our federal people. We need a state law, and that will be done down in Madison by our state legislators. And you are represented in this region by
Senator Carol Roessler, and also by Representative Gordon Hintz. So anybody who is interested in sharing this information, please contact them. This is what you have to do. We have to do this. And just like you said, you can email, you can write, you can call and let them know that you oppose the fact that there are no regulations. Is that correct?
There is no regulation of the breeding business in Wisconsin.
So there is no standard whatsoever?
All we have to go on is Statute 951, which is cruelty to animals.
Okay.
And then there is some things available to us through the Humane Officer Statute 173. But humane officers are optional, so not all regions have them.
Absolutely, and that's very true. I mean, there's a lot of regions. Now, let's talk about puppy mills. Where are they? Where are they located? Why are they so rural? And why aren't they just down the street?
Well, Joni, they're not all rural. There might be somebody in your own neighborhood who is running a puppy mill.
Okay.
And what they are doing is breeding dogs in their basement.
Okay.
They might be breeding dogs in the shed in the backyard. They might be down the road breeding them in their barn. One of the heaviest concentrations of the newer mills is in Clark County. And Clark County is being established basically by Amish and Mennonite families that are moving in from Pennsylvania and coming from puppy milling families. So they're bringing their mill operations with them when they move into Clark County. And one of the reasons Clark County happens to be popular is the land is inexpensive. They're buying up farmland there. The land is inexpensive. And legislators in that area in the past have been very outspoken against regulation.
Okay.
So they're feeling like that's a pretty safe place to set up shop and do it any way they want. But please don't think, and many people in Wisconsin do think, that puppy mills are a rural issue. It is not a rural issue. There are mills running everywhere.
Okay. And so we're actually getting puppy mill businesses that are moving to Wisconsin because there are no regulations.
That is exactly right. I like to say that when our legislators failed to pass regulation in the past, what we did was we set up a big line of blinking lights at our state lines that said, "Puppy millers, welcome here. We will not look at you, we will not inspect you, we will not require you to operate under any standards. You are welcome to come here and do it any way you want." What business isn't going to run in an unregulated environment?
I find that really incredibly sad.
It is very sad.
I cannot believe that as Wisconsin, and I always thought of us as very progressive regarding animals and animal issues and animal welfare, that we actually not only allow it, but by virtue of not having the laws, encourage it. I find that disturbing.
I do too, and because I've been watching this so closely for the last 9 or 10 years, what I've seen is the number of complaints going from this to this.
Yeah.
Because there are so many more here. Had we set in place a regulatory environment for this industry back in 2000 or 2001, or in 2003 or 4 when we had an opportunity, we would not have the huge problem that we have now. Yeah. And you even said earlier in the program that you are seeing such a dramatic upswing.
It is amazing.
It is going to get worse unless we get a bill passed.
We need to stop this. Is there anything in the legislation right now that is a bill that we can encourage our legislators to support?
We are at the end of the current legislative session. So there is nothing pending at the moment, but we are working with Representative Steve Wickert from Appleton.
Okay.
We have been in a working group with him for about 7 months. And what we have done is come together with all the people who are interested in, all the factions that are interested in the issue, including high volume breeders, dog hunting clubs, kennel clubs. We've several veterinarians, myself, several people from humane societies, people from the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. We've been sitting down with Representative Wickert and a bill drafting attorney working on a bill, and we believe that it will be introduced early in the next session, which will be sometime January or February.
Okay.